Holy shit. Another senator is about to be arrested. Get some popcorn. Adam Schiff is so fucked. For the boss to say this means they caught Schiff red-handed in mortgage fraud. Brendan Dilley says, glorious to President Trump's post. Libs of TikTok says, and I quote, Fannie Mae's Financial Crimes Division have concluded that Adam Schiff engaged in a sustained pattern of possible mortgage fraud. Here we see Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass are simply going to exhaust homeowners so that their land can be bought for pennies on the dollar. Then the commies can implement their low-income housing in 15-minute cities and their 15-minute city schemes. The days of traditional families in California are over. California Senate passes a bill to let Los Angeles, LA, to buy fire-destroyed lots for low-income housing. And here we see Adam Carolla panning the ocean side here. He says, Monday morning, over 6 months after the fire and zero work, no trucks, no crews, no materials. And whoa, President Trump just called out Adam Schiff for committing mortgage fraud. That's a felony, by the way. And President Trump posted this post on Truth Social. It says, I've always suspected Shifty Adam Schiff was a scam artist. And now I learned that Fannie Mae's Financial Crimes Division have concluded that Adam Schiff has engaged in a sustained pattern of possible mortgage fraud. Adam Schiff said that his primary residence was in Maryland to get a cheaper mortgage and rip off America when he must live in California because he was a congressman from California. I always knew Adam Schiff was a crook. The fraud began with the refinance of his Maryland property on February 6, 2009, and continued through multiple transactions until the Maryland property was correctly designated as a second home on October 13, 2020. Mortgage fraud is very serious, and crooked Adam Schiff, now a senator, needs to be brought to justice. And apparently at the White House, something was thrown over the fence on the north lawn of the White House, and Secret Service have called a lockdown of the park and White House. Proud Elephant says, happening now, the Secret Service has just locked down the White House front lawn, swiftly relocating all members of the press to the briefing room. This is an ongoing, developing situation here.
I watched horrible CNN. You know, you have to watch sometimes your opposition, and they are opposition. And I saw that they had basically the plans of when we're going in, when we would be entering Iranian oil airspace. And I said, you know, that's weird. And I called the general, Raisin Kane. He's fantastic. I said, General, and Pete Hegseth, I said, I'm watching newscasts where they're saying what time you're taking off tomorrow and what time we're going to be entering the very dangerous airspace, the worst air space anywhere there is, anywhere that in the world. I said, what do you think? Sir, we'll be fine. We blow them away, we'll be fine. Because, you know, they went those B-2s with 7, and they were surrounded by a lot of great planes. F-22s, the most beautiful plane ever built. The fighter jet, F-35s. They had a lot of different planes going with them. I said, but wouldn't a surprise be better? Yeah, it would be better. I said, well, then let me cancel it. And let's make it at a different time. So the day before, you know, I canceled it. I said, I'm canceling it. We'll do it sometime within the next 2, maybe 3 weeks, but I'm canceling it. And then I had a meeting and I said, I have an idea, because I got slightly big coverage, to put it mildly. So everyone knew it was being canceled. I said, let's leave at the exact same time we were supposed to leave, the following day. And we took off, and that's when the planes went out to Guam and this and that, and we took off. And that was the only time, and they said it, that was the only time they knew we wouldn't be coming in.
Breaking, Trump brags about how he has the power to manipulate the stock market through public statements. Trump lie tracker commentary says, we already knew this, but what an insane thing to say out loud.
We come from the same place, right? So it was great, and we appreciate it, John. Thanks as well to Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, who's doing a fantastic job. He goes on television and he calms the market. I go on television, I rile the market, and I say, we better send him in there, Howard, right? And the market's become so calm and nice. So you're doing a good job, Scott. Thank you very much. You make any deals today? We got a lot of them, boy, I tell you, we have. But the best deal is just sending out the paper. They keep saying, well, he hasn't made the deal. Oh, we made a number of deals, but why isn't he doing deals? Because the paper is better than any deal we can make. Do you understand? The people in this, Kevin, they asked you that question this morning. You were great this morning, but they said, well, when is he going to start making deals? The next time we could say, just no, every time he sends out a document that you have to pay 35% or 25% or 50%, or in one case 100%. Those deals, you can't beat those deals, but we're still willing to talk. And they all, literally every country wants to make a deal. We're in a good position.
I'm just trying to picture and imagine Joe Biden commanding a room in the same way that President Trump is, and I can't fathom it.
Firmly in price discovery mode. And this isn't just a retail-driven rally. It's being powered by a rare mix of forces driving sustained institutional demand. Spot Bitcoin ETFs are seeing massive inflows again, $2.7 billion just last week, with nearly half of that in a single day, which was the second biggest session on record. BlackRock's IBIT fund now tops $83 billion in assets, making it one of the fastest growing ETFs in U.S. history. We're also seeing a clear short squeeze. Traders who bet against Bitcoin near the prior highs are being forced to buy back in, which is helping to fuel the rally. And with options having just expired, that cleared out selling pressure and opened the door for more volatility. Crypto bulls are getting a lift from Washington as well. The House is taking up several key bills this week, including one on stablecoin oversight and another tied to a Fed-issued digital dollar. Now, Republicans are calling this crypto week as they push to make the U.S. more hospitable to digital assets. You put it all together, near record ETF inflows, short sellers getting squeezed, and now potential tailwinds from Capitol Hill. It is a powerful setup for continued momentum. Sarah?
CNBC just said live on TV that Bitcoin is now in a powerful setup to explode higher. It's coming, this post says. CNBC, only 3 crypto exchanges hold more than 150,000 BTC. That means there's not much Bitcoin left on exchanges, and people are scrambling to get theirs. This really reminds me of the situation that we're going to face with gold, especially with BRICS transitioning to gold out of the dollar. There's only so much gold, right?
Some analysts say we could be on track for 130,000 plus by August or September. Is that realistic?
It is realistic just simply from a statistical point of view, because we just had a short-term model breakout literally 10 days ago, and historically Bitcoin actually rallied by 20%. So that would bring us actually to 133,000. But an interesting aspect that you mentioned earlier is really that the retail investors are not really participating. For them, maybe one Bitcoin seems to be too expensive. But on the other side, we have, of course, a lot of corporates, a lot of institutional investors buying. And the Bitcoin ETFs, they have bought $15 billion over the last 6 to 8 weeks. And I think the most interesting aspect is actually that only 3 crypto exchanges have more than 150,000 BTC left. So there has been a lot of Bitcoins leaving exchanges. There's not a lot of Bitcoins left on exchanges. And I think that's why a lot of people are scrambling to really get their hands on Bitcoin, because again, there are not many Bitcoins left right now.
And there are a lot of people who are approaching other people who have name brands and saying, look, we ought to get in this business. We can go borrow money and buy Bitcoin and make money.
Or Ethereum, right?
Yeah, or Ethereum. Yeah, Ethereum. I used to own Ethereum. Wow. I mean, that thing was a rocket ship. Then it kind of died out. We were actually using Ethereum to buy things. But I think there's a whole nother world out there right now. And like Jamie Dimon today about private equity, he criticized I mean, I don't know. How there are these sites, the site that talks about what events are going to occur. I'd like to go. I'd like to be the bookie on when he does a lot of crypto. He'll go all in crypto. Maybe he does it on the conference call. But I think
that would be a true 180.
Yeah. Well, I think that's why you got to check the sites. You got to check these sites.
So Jim Cramer says that Justin on Watcher Guru says JP Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon will go all in on crypto after calling it a fraud and a Ponzi scheme last year. Speaking of frauds, breaking, Tim Walz stuck taxpayers with $430,000 legal bill ahead of his House oversight hearing for a private Washington, D.C. firm.
Today, Tom joins us now with really some surprising spending here, Tom.
Yeah, Paul, we obtained more than 40 pages of detailed legal invoices ranging back to April 10th. That's the same day Governor Walz received a letter inviting him to testify about immigration before the House Oversight Committee in Washington, D.C., along with two other Democratic governors. It gives us a look inside how the legal bill grew to hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Do you all solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
In the 2 months leading up to this House Oversight Committee hearing, the Walz administration spent $430,000 on a private legal and consulting firm based in Washington to help the governor prepare. The legal cash register started ringing the day Walz received this letter on April 10th, inviting him to the hearing. According to these documents, requested by 5 Eyewitness News via a data request, it cost $70 just to review that letter, and another $315 to analyze House Oversight Committee social media, a total of $1,400 on day one alone.
They're very, very good at racking up time and billable hours.
The K&L Gates law firm is well known in Washington and known to be expensive. Minnesota Republican House floor leader Harry Niska is a lawyer who knows how these high-powered firms work.
Governor Walz spent 12 years in Congress. The Attorney General of our state spent 12 years in Congress. They know what hearings look like, sound like. They don't need to hire Washington, D.C. lawyers at over $700 an hour to research that for them.
The House Oversight Committee hearing was supposed to focus on immigration, but the K&L Gates firm billed $1,035 for researching anti-transgender comments by committee members, and another $840 to search for news or statistics about crimes committed by transgender people. An attorney billed nearly $3,000 for 6+ hours analyzing case law on executive orders and separation of powers, and another $2,340 to review unspecified emails.
Is this a good stewardship of Minnesotans' tax dollars?
No, absolutely not.
We asked Governor Walz about the legal bills last week.
Could you have used your own legal staff or the Attorney General's office at a much lower cost?
No, probably not. And they didn't have the expertise for this of what they were asking.
Now, these 42 pages are the invoices for just April and May, totaling about $265,000. According to the documents we reviewed, 23 members of that law firm in Washington, ranging from partners and associates to a librarian, charged anywhere from $350 to $700 per hour. The Walz administration says the June invoices are not available yet, but they will total another $165,000. Governor Walz had no further comment today.
Nick Sorter says breaking. The letter written by the Minnesota assassin has been released per Liz Collin. Tim Walz, quote, Tim Walz wanted me to unalive Amy Klobuchar. Tim Walz wants to be a senator. Investigate Tim Walz is what it says here. And this handwriting says way more than possibly what could be pulled out of this seemingly intentionally redacted letter written by, I don't even remember that guy's name. Who remembers that guy's name? But look at this. This dude writes like a psycho.
If I told you how bullish I was, you wouldn't believe it. I have never been more excited about the future of America than I am right now. Right this moment. For a lot of reasons. Number one, like it or not, this guy's getting things done.
This guy meaning President Donald Trump?
Trump. He's a little pissed off at me because I had the audacity to say that on television about a few months ago that I was worried about it, if he won, that he'd engage in retribution. I'm happy to say I'm comfortable he's not doing that. He's acting presidential. I'm impressed with the people he's got around him. I had a nice chat with Kevin Warsh last week, and part of my positivity comes from my discussion with him. and you might have heard him on television. I think the American people are waking up. I think the world is a mess, but I think it's coming more to our direction than it was. I think that strike in Iran had significant symbolic meaning for the world, that America's here, and when our interests are at risk, we're going to do something about it. Look, let me tell you right now, I am sold on Trump. In fact, I'll say this. I think he's got a good shot at going down in history as one of our best presidents ever.
That is a real turnaround because you didn't want to vote for him.
I tell you the reason. I want to tell you, I'm a believer. What I'm seeing happening is absolutely nothing short of a great thing. And there's a beat. People are walking with more bounce in there. It's all around.
I gave you quite a bit of grief.
Huh?
I gave you grief.
You give me grief?
I gave you grief when it was a binary choice. You're still complaining about Trump and it was a binary choice. It's like, are you kidding me?
Knowledge implies one thing. When you made a mistake, admit it.
Okay.
I think this guy is turning out to be a president.
Right.
One of the pilots on that miraculous trip to Iran that we wiped out, whatever the hell we wiped out.
Right.
He said, you're the only guy that in the presidency that would have done what you did. One of the pilots said that.
Yeah.
And you know what? He's probably right.
And so, breaking, Eric Doherty says, in a stunning turnaround, the founder of Home Depot, who did not want to vote for President Trump, is shocking the business world. He also opposed tariffs. Now, he says, I'm sold on Trump. I think he's got a good shot at going down in history as one of the best presidents ever. Call to activism, major breaking. Trump just admitted Putin played him like a fool.
We thought we had a deal. Numerous times I'd get home, I'd say, First Lady, I had the most wonderful talk with Vladimir. I think we're finished. And then I'll turn on the television, or she'll say to me one time, wow, that's strange because they just bombed a nursing home. I said, what? So we don't like that. We thought we had a deal.
Meanwhile, Elizabeth Warren says that this is the same Grok that was manipulated into praising Hitler last week. What could possibly go wrong when integrating this AI into our national security? The U.S. Department of Defense, according to Pop Craze, says will reportedly start using Grok, Elon Musk's AI model. Here we see breaking. Pam Bondi has fired the DOJ's senior ethics attorney without warning or reason provided, and misspelled his name. Trump's DOJ is in disarray, Maine says. The Maine wonk. Representative Eric Swalwell breaking. This is it. Today at 1:30, Congress votes whether to release the Epstein files or keep them secret. How will Republicans vote, he asks. And I got to tell you guys, I don't know if YouTube is trying to tell me something on whether or not I shouldn't talk about politics anymore, or if I shouldn't talk good about President Trump, or if I'm not really sure. And the comments are doing the same because I see a lot of folks here jumping ship. This one here says, Trump has lost my vote. Now my defended him to the hilt. But to say no one cares is a disgrace. Them poor children and victims. And you guys can see the other comments here. Trump has accomplished so much already. I believe there's more to this, and Trump has a bigger plan, and there's bigger fish to fry connected to the Epstein case. So why did y'all wait for Trump to become president before y'all can demand answers? Where are pics of all the elites involved in Epstein Island? Why is it only Trump who's featured? I am so disappointed that you're all torching the only man who stood up for America, and Bongino. But he's still there. Bondi needs to go. This post here says, serious question, or asks, why don't the Epstein victims, who are all adults now, simply name the names of their assailants? Megyn Kelly show, nice try, but you've chosen the wrong person. And Megyn explains why she will not be deterred by critics of her Epstein coverage.
I know you've urged people to move on, but I'm curious, why do you think your supporters in particular have been so interested in the Epstein story and so upset about how it's been handled?
I don't understand it. Why they would be so interested. He's dead for a long time. He was never a big factor in terms of life. I don't understand what the interest or what the fascination is. I really don't. And the credible information's been given. Don't forget, we went through years of the Mueller witch hunt and all of the different things, the Steele dossier, which was all fake. All that information was fake. But I don't understand why the Jeffrey Epstein case would be of interest to anybody. It's pretty boring stuff. It's sordid, but it's boring. And I don't understand why it keeps going. I think, well, really only pretty bad people, including fake news, want to keep something like that going. But credible information, let them give it. Anything that's credible, I would say let them have it.
Candace Owens says Trump is gaslighting the public right now. The Epstein scandal is definitely terminal cancer to the MAGA movement. There's just no making anybody forget about this Epstein scandal.
I can't reconcile this Donald Trump with the Trump that we're seeing right now, the Trump that is gaslighting the public right now, the Trump that I voted for across multiple elections. The Epstein scandal is definitely terminal cancer to Trump's MAGA movement. There's no question about that. I actually said to my husband this week, and we were talking about it, that in order for Trump to get out of this is how bad it is, in order for him to actually make the MAGA base forget this, like potentially move on from Jeffrey Epstein, he would essentially have to come right out and repeal income tax in the United States. And then we would be extremely happy. Everyone would be very happy. And then we'd go, actually, thanks, Trump, but we still remember the Epstein scandal and we want the list. That's how bad it is. There's just no making anybody forget about this Epstein scandal. I can't reconcile this.
And she may very well be right, okay? But based on what we've seen so far and are likely to see happen in the near future, I'm pretty sure President Trump and MAGA has a plan, a strategy more so than just shooting from the hip. And come midterm, you may be surprised and shocked at what is released, what is revealed, what is repealed, what is shared with America that literally turns everybody's world upside down. It's like, oh my, what? 5D chess, folks. 5D chess.
Honestly, I'm done talking about Epstein for the time being.
There's no Epstein client list. That's why we're voting to stop the Epstein client list from being released, Owen Schroyer says.
I'm going to trust my friends in the administration. I'm going to trust my friends in the government to do what needs to be done, solve it, balls in their hands. I've said plenty this last weekend. So if you guys want to see my commentary on it, that's fine.
Charlie Kirk says he's done talking about Epstein, adding he's just going to trust his friends in the government. And he's catching some flack, some serious backlash from his peers for this, especially, I think, Candace Owens chiming in. Brooklyn Dad Defiant posted this, and it says that if 7 Republicans voted against Ghislaine Maxwell testimony and 4 Democrats and 1 Republican vote to hear her testimony, I'm not great at math, but it sure looks like Republicans are protecting pedophiles and don't want the truth getting out. That looks guilty AF. Brian Allen says, breaking, Kevin Spacey is now demanding the full Epstein client list be made public. When Kevin Spacey's asking for names, ... you know the silence is no longer sustainable. The dam's cracking and even the ghosts are knocking.
Yes, sir.
Is there disruption at the leadership of DOJ and the FBI with your relationship with Dan Bongino that is affecting the operations of the DOJ?
No, I'm not going to talk about personnel matters. No, I was with Director Patel all morning, and we are committed to keeping America safe, making America safe, working with our incredible partners at DEA, FBI, ATF, U.S. Marshals to do everything we can to make America safe, and that's what we're focused on. And today, we're focused on protecting our kids. And I would ask all of you, when you leave, go look at that wall outside, right outside this room, of all the deaths, all the faces of that you have done an amazing job putting up.
Matt Walz says nobody can provide an example of a single way that the United States has benefited from Somali immigration. It's easy to think of the drawbacks. There are no positives, none at all. None of the idiots who flock to this post to call me racist or whatever will be able to give it an example. Just read the comments and you'll see. Literally, no one can explain how it helps this country. So why should we allow it? Omar Fateh? I don't really know what this guy's name is.
Senator has announced he will run against Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey. Omar Fateh was first elected to the state legislature in 2020 and is the first Somali American elected to the state Senate. Fateh claims Mayor Frey has failed the city residents on issues from public safety to housing.
I'm running for mayor to work with you to make Minneapolis the prosperous and welcoming city we know that it can be.
Yes. Is a socialist running to be the mayor of Minneapolis. He says his goal is infiltrate the government to enrich the Somalis.
Investing in increasing affordable housing and not gentrifying our neighborhoods. These are all things that are causing harm to our community because of this idea that there isn't money, when in reality, we do have this money to spend on this. It's just that we're choosing not to. It's not a value of ours. So right now we're blessed to have 3 Somali elected officials at the Capitol. Me, Sister Holden Hassan, who's in the State House, and Brother Mahmoud Noor. And we work very closely together. And we carry each other's bills. So the way it works is, if there's a bill in the House, it needs an identical bill to be carried in the Senate for it to be negotiated and to pass in the committees, and then go on for the floor session, and then go on to the governor's signature. So we're able to pass our bills back and forth that'll help benefit our communities. Investing in increasing affordable housing and not.
Here we see this Omar Fateh, I don't know what his name is, a Muslim and son of Somali immigrants and current Democrat Minnesota State Senator who is now running for Minneapolis mayor. Omar wants to ban local police from any interaction with ICE agents in order to protect the city from Trump. He also wants to diversify public safety response, to send social workers and institute rent control. Mamdani now has competition for worst mayoral candidate. Hustle Bitch says, look at this. Biblical flooding in Texas, and we've seen similar flooding in New York, New Jersey, and I think in another country somewhere. I can't remember exactly where. 4 floodgates wide open for the first time in 6 years. Not a flow, but a roar. Water swallowing land, homes, yards, streets. Locals say they've never seen anything like it. This isn't rain. This is judgment, he says. The current scene on the New Jersey Turnpike. This is wild. This is crazy. This is insane, folks.
Well, with President Trump, we work hard every day, and we are going to continue to work hard to deliver on all of the campaign promises that he made to the American public. But it surely has been an extraordinary 6-month start to the 4 years that President Trump has been blessed with back in the Oval Office. And let's go back to 1 year ago yesterday.
And, President Trump's got beautiful women by his side. For instance, the one, the only, Caroline Leavitt, says she has one message for the American people. Caroline Leavitt posted this one: every month since President Trump took office, core inflation, the best measure of inflation, has beat or matched expectations. The data proves that President Trump is stabilizing inflation, and the panicans continue to be wrong about tariffs raising prices.
Where God saved the life of President Trump so he could save this country and return to this city where so much change is needed. And look at what he has done with the border. You just laid it out, Sean, the most secure border in our nation's history. A president who has the backs of our law enforcement officers every day. Those law enforcement officers who are watching your show right now, who put their uniform on to protect our fellow Americans, to make our community safer. This president supports you and he loves you. Look at our economy. It is booming again thanks to the pro-growth, less regulatory policies of this administration. And President Trump just signed the most significant piece of tax legislation in American history, the largest tax cut for working and middle-class families. That means more money directly into the pockets of every single American watching your show tonight. You look at what he's done to root out DEI DEI, in waste, fraud, and abuse in our federal government to keep men out of women's sports. Victory upon victory. We had another one with the Supreme Court today, handing another big victory to not just the Trump administration, but more importantly, parents and students and families across the country. The Supreme Court saying that, yes, Secretary of Education Lyndon McMahon can move forward with the president's promise to dismantle the Department of Education, return education back to parents, back to states, so we can have the best, brightest, most highly educated students in the world. Win after win every day. We will continue to work hard. And I just want to say to your audience, there is not a more hardworking president than Donald J. Trump. I witness it with my own two eyes every day. That man is working around the clock. He hardly ever sleeps. He's constantly thinking about not just the problems in our country here, but around this world and how to solve them. And look at what he's done on the world stage with bringing peace to the Middle East, with jarring Russia and Ukraine to actually talk directly for the first time in this war in years. We see what's happening with the hostages coming out of Gaza, and he's going to keep pushing until every last hostage is out. This is a president who is a peacemaker in chief, and it cannot be overstated how successful the first 6 months of this administration have been, thanks to the leadership of President Trump.
Caroline, let me read a headline from the Washington Examiner. Trump's tariffs deregulation give June its first budget.
You know, it's actually crazy to believe that CNN reported on the Trump rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, the first time that President Trump had fallen down. Yeah, that's the way that they want to.
Well, with President.
Picture. And speaking of beautiful women by their side, here's Kash Patel, FBI director. And here we see Dan Bongino with some woman by his side, but I'm not 100% sure if that's his wife. And if it isn't, I don't know if she'd be too happy about it. What does FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino now do on a daily basis after no longer running his wildly popular podcast and reporting directly to Kash Patel under the Trump administration?
I mean, I gave up everything for this. I mean, you know, my wife is struggling. I'm not a victim. I'm not Jim Comey. It's fine. I did this and I'm proud I did it. But if you think we're there for tea and crumpets, well, I mean, Kash is there all day. We share it. Our offices are linked. He turns on the faucet. I hear it. He's there he gets in at like 6 o'clock in the morning. He doesn't leave till 7 at night. You know, I'm in there at 7:30 in the morning. He uses the gym. I work out in my apartment. But I stare at these four walls all day in D.C., you know, by myself, divorced from my wife. Not divorced, but I mean separated, divorced. And it's hard. I mean, you know, we love each other, and it's hard to be apart.
But you're doing some great work. You're straightening out the FBI. You're moving buildings. There's a lot of change.
I got one more thing.
Does he regret this decision, this choice that he's made? And better yet, knowing what he knows now, if he had to make the choice again, would he still do it? Would he accept the call? Or would he stay comfortably where he was, hosting a podcast and still married to his wife, or not separated? Doing a complete 180, we've got Jasmine Crockett here, and she says she wants to make it clear that the Texas GOP is racist and wants to mute the voices of people of color.
Yeah, so first of all, it hasn't quite been said clearly that Texas has always been found to be intentionally discriminatory. And so I want y'all to understand the makeup of my state. The state is a majority-minority state. And what this legislature historically has done is what they plan to do again, is to dilute the voices of people of color in order to make sure that they can get to where they're trying to go. We saw this Department of Justice decided to put out a letter, and what did they do? We only have 4 seats that are represented by black folk, where the vast majority of the people that get to decide who they have represent them are black. They decided to attack 3 of the 4 seats that we have in the state. They decided to go after a Latina. They are specifically deciding to splinter the communities of common interest, as well as just blatantly say we are going to dilute minority voices. So we know that the courts, ever since we've had a Voting Rights Act, have always found this state to be intentionally discriminatory. That is what they are going to do. So I need people of color to understand that the scheme of the Republicans has consistently been to make sure that they mute our voices so that they can go ahead and have an oversized say in this. So I fully anticipate that's exactly where they're going with this map. It's the only way to do it. We didn't understand how we got to the map that they gave us last time because that state was grown by 95% people of color. They went out of their way to make sure that we got 0 new seats for people of color. So that's exactly what they're going to do this time.
You know, AOC, look, I think she's very nice, but she's very low IQ, and we really don't need low IQ. Between her and Crockett, we're going to give them both an IQ test to see who comes out best. Now, I took my test. I took a real test at Walter Reed Medical Center, and I aced it. I got every one of all those questions right. Now it's time for them to take a test. Anyway, have a good time.
Low IQ Crockett is so hung up on race. Greg Gutfeld has a possible solution to the problem, though. Brace yourself, folks. It's a little bit, you'll see.
This is why the criticism doesn't matter to us when you call us Nazis, Nazi this, Nazi that. You know, I'm beginning to think they don't like us. You know what? I've said this before. We need to learn from the blacks. The way they were able to remove the power from the N-word by using it. So from now on, it's what up, my Nazi? Hey, what up, my Nazi? Oh my God. Hey, what's hanging, my Nazi?
Nazi, please.
Thank God you did a hard eye there. What does it tell you, though?
Today, I'm announcing that the FDA is approving Gardenia Blue as a natural food dye with natural ingredients. Today,
Make America Healthy Again is winning. The FDA is now approving Gardenia Blue for use in American products as a natural food dye. Artificial dyes are being removed en masse. Natural alternatives are here. And speaking of making America healthy again and winning, the Trump administration delivers on MAGA. Dozens of ice cream brands drop artificial colors, joining major companies in improving our food supply. The list includes Steak and Shake, moved to 100% beef tallow and replaced seed oils. McCormick dropping food dyes and reformulating certain products. PepsiCo will remove artificial ingredients from popular food items. In-N-Out will remove red dye 40 and yellow 5 and artificial flavors. Tyson Food eliminated synthetic dyes. Skittles removed titanium dioxide from Skittles. Sam's Club committed to removing 40 harmful ingredients from its brands. Kraft Heinz will remove artificial dyes from U.S. products. General Mills will remove artificial dyes from U.S. cereals and schools. Nestle will remove all petroleum-based food dyes. Conagra Foods will remove certified food, drug, and cosmetic colors. Jim Schmucker will remove synthetic colors from its food products. Hershey will remove synthetic dyes from its snacks. Consumer brands encourage members to remove artificial colors, and International Dairy Foods eliminates the use of artificial colors. Here we are, folks. It's another day. It's amazing. It's a beautiful day. And I hope that you guys are taking advantage of the opportunities that you have available to you. I will keep the number on the screen for you throughout the entire duration of this video. So if you or anyone you know is on Medicare or soon will be enrolling, feel free, reach out, give the folks at Chapter a call and get your free Medicare help, free Medicare advice, and see how you can save some money, folks. On average, people are calling Chapter and in just a few short minutes saving thousands of dollars. And it's actually really, really simple, really easy, because Chapter is the only unbiased, non-biased. They're not doing this based on how much money they're going to make on commissions and pushy sales. No, they're the only ones that search every plan nationwide, and their advisors are unbiased. I mean, I think that's those two are some of the greatest strengths. I've got some comments here. One of them says, another comment here saying that they have saved over $1,000. Folks watching these videos, my videos, this channel, subscribers, Some comments actually from my wife's channel. I finally called. Lori Wright says, I finally called Chapter and they helped me a lot. Thank you very much. Tammy Smith, listen to Michelle about Chapter. I turned 65 in August and called Chapter last month and actually talked to an American. She was very nice and helpful and saved me hundreds of dollars a month, which means her number was $338.07 a month, which means $4,056.84 a year. Before I read these other comments, I want to know what you guys would do with another $4,000 right now. What would you do? How would that change your lives? And just leave it in the comment section down below. Would you pay off some credit card debt? Would you invest in some assets like gold? Would you buy some more supplies and stock up? Would you replace the tires on your car or your truck? What would it be? Let me know in the comments. And Marilyn, she says, Chapter is awesome, 3 exclamation points. I was a medical coder and oh my goodness, the Medicare issue slays even me. I called and they will call me back in October. I love that you give those details about signing up. I think the strongest one there is the fact that you get a real person who actually cares and who you can understand because English is their first language. Cowboy 3906 says, I called Chapter and they told me that I have the best coverage that I could have with my current capacity. Thank you for letting me get a checkup that I could trust. And that's just it, folks. Call Chapter. And at the end of the day, no matter what, you're going to get good news. Think about it. Either they tell you you are in the very best possible place you could be, unbiased, not just trying to, manipulate or anything like that. And, or they say, well, here's a way you could save some money. I mean, how can you beat that? Peace of mind and money savings. Dial the number on your screen, 270-467-2426. I'll leave it down in the description. It'll be in the pinned comment. And yeah, 270-467-2426. Call our friends at Chapter. Tell them Kevin sent you. Tell them Michelle sent you. Either way, I'm sure you'll be glad that you did.